Hey, well, thank God, y'all. This officer has been charged. He's been arrested. Derek Chauvin or Chauvin, whatever his last name is. That's the man that killed George Floyd. He has been arrested and charged in the death of him. The thing is, he's only been charged with third degree murder, but at least he was charged with murder. So that's the good thing. It says murder and manslaughter, so that's even better. Fired Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been arrested days after the death of George Floyd, which sparked protests and unrest in the city. Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman and Chauvin has been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. John Harrington, the commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, announced that Chauvin has been taken into custody by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Floyd was seen on a disturbing video begging for air as Chauvin pressed his knee into his neck. Okay, in here I'm going to play this. I've just been so upset for the last few days over this. It's unreal. But I mean, at least we are seeing something happen. I mean, it's better than nothing happening. We'll just have to see what the outcome's going to be.
Happened, but he was taken into custody in the city of Minneapolis. So that information, and that happened at 11:44 this morning, according to the BCA.
Right. Again, just to recap, we now know Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman has announced third-degree murder and manslaughter charges against former officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd.
Obviously, lots of things developing right now. We are expecting around 2 o'clock today. Governor Tim Walz had said he would have some guidance as to what the state had in mind for tonight. Certainly protests planned to happen once again this afternoon and this evening. The governor urging people to be safe, but saying that the state is going to take control of this and make sure that we don't have fires, we don't have vandalism and that sort of thing.
For example, one of the things the governor had suggested, or reporters had suggested, and he implied could happen, were something like curfews. So that we will hear more about at 2 o'clock, and what kind of presence that we might see from the State Patrol or from the National Guard.
Let's go back to Esme Murphy, who is covering Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman's news conference. Esme?
Well, I can tell you, Jason, that what the county attorney announced is that Derek Chauvin will be charged with third-degree murder, and that is the same charge, Mr. Freeman explained, that was placed against Officer Muhammad Noor, who was found guilty on that charge of killing Justine Damon back in 2017. She was the Australian woman. The difference that many people are pointing out, because Mr. Freeman has touted his office's ability to get that conviction, which is very rare, to convict a police officer of murder. It almost never happens in this country. The obvious difference is that Officer Noor was black and Justine Damon was white. But the third-degree murder charge is very, very unusual, and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office actually came under some criticism about why they filed that charge in the Noor case, because it's so rarely filed. I've got it right here, and what it says is, whoever without intent to affect the death of any person causes the death of another by perpetrating an act eminently dangerous to others and evincing a depraved mind without regard for human life is guilty of murder in the third degree and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 25 years. It is a rarely used statute. It has that very unusual wording of evincing a depraved mind, but it worked in the Damon case. A lot of people thought it wouldn't. So it's the exact same charge. And again, it is very, very rare in this country to get murder charges, a successful murder conviction against a police officer. they just did it, and it's likely going to be the same prosecutors from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office who do the same thing. And you also heard Mike Freeman say, and this is definitely the case, the Mohammed Noor, Justine Damon case was much more complicated, and there wasn't the definitive video. You remember they turned their video cameras off just before the shooting happened, leading to a change in policy for the Minneapolis Police Department that all cameras have to be on. And that's another thing. There's also cameras. We also have video cameras from the police officers. And that is something that obviously the Hennepin County Attorney has had access to. But it is interesting that it is this same charge. And yes, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman is right. It is what he got against Mohammed Noor, Officer Mohammed Noor, is very rare. A conviction for murder against a police officer. Critics will also point out that that was, again, a black officer and a white woman.
Mentioned earlier in your report that you had overheard the county attorney Freeman saying that these officers in this case were not talking. We remember that as well from the Mohammed Noor case, that he never spoke to investigators. Is this a strategy now that we're seeing when it comes to these and police-involved interactions?
Well, I think what happens generally is that these officers know that they are in trouble. I'm told that one of the officers actually was trying to revive Floyd in the ambulance. They obviously knew what had happened. They obviously knew how serious it was. I think one of their first calls generally, and this was one of the first calls in the Noor case, is to the police union. They have a battery of very good attorneys who will give them advice. And I think any attorney's advice to any client who's in trouble is not to cooperate, not to speak. Now, the partner of Mohammed Noor in the Damon case did end up giving a statement, but only weeks and maybe even months later. But I think it's a strategy for many defendants to not give a statement. The thing in this case, and this is what has gotten some people so upset, is you have that video that not only has video, but you have the audio. And in some ways, the audio is the most crushing part of it. You hear this man begging for his life. You hear bystanders begging for his life. And you hear the casual tone of Officer Derek Chauvin saying, "We tried to get him in the car." And it's awfully powerful, and that is the evidence that has pushed this to a boiling point, not only here, but across the country. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, but I think there also is a chance that one of the other officers could cooperate, because I am being told it will be much harder to get a charge against these other officers, much harder, even though some might question that.
All right. Esme Murphy reporting for us on this case. Thank you so much, Esme.
We did just get a statement from Attorney General William Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, who described the video images of the incident that ended with the death of Mr. Floyd while in custody. He says they were harrowing to watch and deeply disturbing. Deferring to the state prosecution, but noting that the Department of Justice and the FBI are conducting their own investigation to determine whether federal civil rights laws were violated. So something we knew the local FBI working on, but this statement from the Attorney General shows that this effort is going on at the very highest levels of the Justice Department of the United States. We want to get out to Marielle Mose, who is at the Government Center in downtown Minneapolis. Ellen, your last report, you mentioned that the crowd there heard in real time what the charges were. Can you characterize what their reaction was to the third-degree plus manslaughter charge?
Yeah, Jason, as soon as they heard that Derek Chauvin had been charged, immediately they began chanting, "One down, 3 to go." So they are satisfied with the murder charge, but they are not completely satisfied until all 4 officers are arrested and charged. It's been remaining very peaceful here. The crowd is growing in size by the minute, and we just not too long ago heard a woman on a megaphone sing a song, and it was truly a beautiful moment of peace here in front of the Government Center. We'll send it back to you, Jason.
All right, Marielle Mose live in Minneapolis right now. We expect more protests and demonstrations to happen throughout the afternoon and throughout the evening, and that is why at this point the focus really becomes twofold, Heather. We're waiting to see the charging documents to learn more details about the evidence that police investigators and state investigators say they have, but also to see what the state of Minnesota decides to do. Because I think after 2 nights of seeing large parts of Minneapolis and also parts of St. Paul on fire, the governor, I think, was pretty outraged about that today.
But forceful in her remarks. It was a stinging press conference, really, and really not just the governor. We heard from the head of the National Guard, who said, I just can't march my soldiers into Minneapolis, saying that he had not gotten any clear guidance on what needed to happen in Minneapolis. We heard, we're waiting to hear back from St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter. We have also reached out to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey to get their reactions to that press conference where we heard from the State Patrol and heard from the National Guard and the governor, essentially saying, look, Minneapolis and St. Paul, this was on you. We then, the state, had to come in last night and essentially take charge.
Yeah, and I think a lot of questions, of course, about why the state waited. Why didn't they jump in earlier? Why did, the governor can't call the mayor and say, hey, what's going on? Like, it's not like we're just sitting waiting by the phone. I think some people might.
Okay, so I just stopped that because I didn't realize that that was live. And if that's the case, it could be going for hours. Okay, it could be going all day long. So if I do anything that is live, I will go live and I will just have that steadily running, okay? But thank God he did get charged, okay? Because like they said, we very rarely see a murder charge, okay, being pinned on a police officer. Well, not being pinned on it, but we never see them being charged with a murder charge. Very, very rarely. If anything, it'll be like a homicide, like a manslaughter, or some kind of accidental death, or some kind of like like battery or something like that. But we never see we very rarely ever see the murder charges being brought against the police officers. And so for this to happen, I mean, this is amazing. And for y'all that don't know, a third degree murder states that it is a homicide that is caused by not on purpose, like you didn't intentionally kill the person, but it is murder because you did something that you knew could cause harm. You intentionally caused harm to the person, but you didn't mean to actually kill them. Okay, so that's where the statutes fall in with the third degree murder, for those of y'all that just don't understand. But thank God that he is being charged. Like they said, full legal justice won't be brought until all 4 officers are charged and taken away. But I mean, all in all, you really can't get true anything. None of that ever makes it all the way better, because his life was still taken, just like so many others, life senselessly taken and no justice, or no, you can't bring the person back. Once they're gone, that's it. And that's why we have to be thankful for every day. And we have to love everyone and be nice to everybody around us, y'all. Stop the hate. Stop being mean. Stop being rude. It doesn't take but a second to just smile at someone, and it's when you smile at someone, it's contagious. You could look at someone who normally might not be very friendly. You smile at them, they're probably going to smile back at you. Just that one a small act of kindness can make someone's day. It can make someone else have a better day, and it just keeps going on. It's something just like negativity, something that radiates, you have some negativity, everybody around you is going to be negative. Same with positivity, y'all. Doesn't take a lot to just love each other, and if you don't know how to, try to. You know, it doesn't take a lot to do that. So I love y'all. I will talk to y'all later. God bless y'all. If y'all want to send me anything, you can do so in my email, or you can add me on Facebook and send whatever you like through there. If y'all have not subscribed to my other channel, please click on the link down below, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Till the next time I talk to y'all, love y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.